Okay, so just a few more exponent rules, some pretty simple ones. So looking here at this top rule, this one's super, super easy. Anything to the 0 power always turns into 1. So even if it's a number, even if it's a variable, they always turn into 1. So that's nice and simple. Anytime you see anything to the 0 power, essentially you can just cancel it out, cross it out, because multiplying or dividing by 1 is not going to change anything. The big rule that we're focused on today are negative exponents. Okay, so when I look at 4 to the negative 2 power, anytime I see just a number or an expression like that, I'm always to assume it's over 1. So essentially this negative exponent that we see right here tells me to flip. So you can see that I take 4 to the negative 2 that was on top, I flip it down to the bottom of the fraction and make it 4 to the positive 2. Okay, and then we just change our placeholder. Our placeholder was on the bottom, now it's on top. Okay, so I just want to show you a couple problems, and then I'll have you do the rest. Okay, so I want to show you 10 and 11. Okay, so on 10, I am to assume that this a to the negative 8 is on top. So it's going to turn into a to the positive 8 on bottom. And then I put my placeholder of 1 on top. On number 11, again, I'm to assume that's all on top. Remember, only the piece with the negative exponent changes. So the 6 does not have an exponent on it. It's going to stay put on top. A to the 0 power, anytime I have anything to the 0 power, it's just going to cancel out because it turns into 1. And then b to the negative 2 that was on top is going to flip down to the bottom as b to the positive 2. And that's how we do that. Okay, so I'm going to give you some time to go ahead and pause the video, do the other 4, and then when you're ready for me, you can go ahead and unpause. Okay, 9 is nice and simple. Anything to the 0 power is just 1, so that one's done and over with. Let's look at number 12. So 14 does not have an exponent, so it's going to stay put on top. Oops, sorry about that. So 14 is going to stay on top. M to the negative 4 is going to flip down to the bottom as m to the positive 4. And then n to the 0, anything to the 0 power, I just cancel out. So that was nice and easy. Let's look at 13. Okay, so this time I see a fraction already made. And I see that I do have a coefficient of 3 with a negative exponent. So remember that coefficient of 3 to the negative 2 is going to flip down to the bottom as 3 to the positive 2. R to the negative 3 that was on top is going to flip down to the bottom as r to the positive 3. S to the 0, that's just going to cancel out because that's 1. And then remember, anytime I am left with just stuff on bottom of a fraction, I need to put a 1 as a placeholder up on top. So that answer has one more step of simplifying. Remember, we don't ever like to just leave numbers like that. So 3 squared turns into 9. So my final answer here would be 1 over 9 r to the third. And last but not least, let's look at 14. Okay. All right, so let's get rid of the negatives first. So I'm going to leave 2 to the third alone for now, because that's a positive exponent. A to the negative 3 is going to flip down to the bottom as a to the positive 3. So I'm done with that part, done with that part. On bottom, anything that's, so I have 8 to the negative 1 on bottom. Since it started on bottom with a negative exponent, it's got to flip to the top with a positive exponent. So that's 8 to the 1 on top. B to the negative 5 on bottom is going to flip up to the top as b to the positive 5. So remember, if a negative exponent is on bottom, it's going to flip up to the top. And then c to the 0 I don't care about because it's to the 0 power. So now I just need to simplify, right? So now this 2 to the third power, that's 2 times 2 times 2, that's 8, right? So now on top I see 8 times 8. I want to go ahead and simplify that. So that's going to be 64 on top. I have a b to the fifth on top with no b's on bottom, so that's done. And I have an a to the third on bottom with no a's on top, so that's done. So that's my final answer there.